It's been the big story all season, and there's no apology for that. When they go and appoint Ralf Rangnick, yes, of course, there's going to be a debate about that. They appoint him for, 6 months, and then he's going to be a consultant for 2 years.
Well, he obviously won't come, would he, for 6 months? Well,
mate,
I would say that would have been the original.
But he's clever, isn't he? He's clever.
Yeah, you fancy 6 months? No, I'm not coming for 6 months, mate. You give me another 2 years on top. Can you imagine whoever comes as manager now? They're going to think twice about it. Think, hang on a minute, I've got to go there. He's been manager for 6 months, and then he's going to tell me how to manage.
Yeah, and the other thing about that is, and you're right, what's happened there, and that's how it feels. I've seen a tweet saying from the local press saying that Ed Woodward was the driving force behind the 2-year consultancy. Really? Are you absolutely sure about that? Are you sure Ralf Rangnick hasn't gone, yeah, I'll come and manage you? They've said, well, we need you for 6 months because we're going to get Mopo in 6 months' time. And he said, whoa. No, only 2.5 years. I don't care who you want to get as a coach or whatever. I'm only doing 2.5 years. Well, we'll call you a consultant then. And that's how much he's driven it. So, yeah, he might have suggested we'll call you a consultant, but that's about it. He's been very clever here, Rangnick. What I find really interesting is, and before, it was a little bit flippant before the News and Sport there, saying they've gone from the least respected coach to the most respected. Obviously, neither exactly tick that box. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, towards the end, was among the least respected top-level, top-flight coaches across Europe. There was not a lot of respect for him. So he ticks that box. Ralf Rangnick, you look at his CV, and it's not particularly brilliant. It's a bit like Bielsa. There's not a huge amount going on. But if you get behind the silverware and all that might not be on his CV, and there is some, you get to the story of him reinventing German football and inspiring some really successful managers now. And maybe even he was the man behind the re-emergence of Germany as a national force when they won the World Cup in 2014. So you can't say to me, nobody can come on here and say to us, Goffey, well, he hasn't won much, has he? There's a deeper thinking going on here, isn't there?
Well, it's a bit like the Bielsa situation, isn't it? Surely, I mean, that's what it's about. And everybody fell in love with Bielsa. He's getting a bit of stick this year because where Leeds are, I think a lot of that is probably, I still believe that is down to injuries. I'm sure we'll get onto that later as well, Leeds United. But I think with him, I think one thing's for sure, we know now Manchester United are going to have a certain style of play. I mean, he doesn't take much working out. He always talks about it. Coaching conferences, wherever he goes, about the 5-point plan. Every team he's gone to does exactly the same. So everybody knows from this moment on, Manchester United are going to play a certain style of football. And Carrick kind of did that at the weekend. And that's how they're going to play. Might be slightly different in certain areas, but...
Might take a little while.
Yeah, he's very, very aware and what philosophy is going to be play. You see little bits of it from Klopp. He talks about Klopp, and he's a very similar style of football. It's that rock and roll type football that Klopp plays. So if we can get Manchester United, I can't believe I'm even saying this, get Manchester United playing like Liverpool, we're in for some unbelievable football.
Well, he's got and they're all very good players at Manchester United. You don't get to stay there, you don't get a contract there unless you are very good. So we probably haven't seen the best of a number of those players, but he will be charged with getting the best out of them. Now, he's the one who's credited with inventing gegenpressing. Jurgen Klopp has told us all this in the interview he did. But I think the big thing is the culture shock at Manchester United, and this is why I think there's an element of a smacking of desperation, but I think ultimately it will be positive. They've gone from one extreme to the other. So, you know, when Man United lose at home to Crystal Palace, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer says the boys were fantastic, you know, and he will give them a day off. But this guy, he will be obsessive and a perfectionist to the point of really laying into somebody even like Ronaldo. He won't hold back. He'll either lay into him or just leave him out and ignore him completely, to the point where Ronaldo will think, what's the point of me being here, and off he'll go.
Well, you're going to bite into his style, haven't you?
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to come in and said, he talks about it many times. This is the way we're going to play. It's very much a lot of time in the room, watching videos and everything that goes with it. Players have a specific role, certain position they have to be in. He does zonal marking, doesn't he, defensively? And he talks about that pressing. He believes in getting the ball back within the first 8 seconds, and it leads to more goals. He talks about percentages. He goes into the percentages of set pieces and how important they are in modern football. So it's going to be a totally different, I would say, team meeting to when Solskjaer was in charge. It'd be totally different.
I think, listen, we weren't in those meetings. We weren't in dressing rooms. We weren't at training grounds. So
yeah, but
we
I
can't
think it
say
was obvious. It was a different style of play every time Manchester United turned out.
And the thing is, I don't think if at the end of his 6 months or 2.5 years or whatever it's going to be with Ralph Rangnick, if at the end of it anybody says, well, Ralph's a really nice guy, I think he'd be very surprised. Because I don't think that's a reputation he even wants as a coach or a manager or a consultant or whatever he might end up being at Manchester United. I was listening to the Boot Room last night on talkSPORT, and Dean Saunders was on, and he said that Man United have the lowest running stats in the Premier League. And I was gobsmacked listening to it. I was driving along the M3 and I could not believe what I was hearing. And I thought to myself, what you said is right, that there will be a lot of meetings, there'll be a lot of video work, because these are really good players and they need to be shown how to apply that in a game in the Premier League. So I thought, yeah, that's fine. But are they all fit enough? If they're not doing the running, are they fit enough? So he's got to get out on the pitch as well, training pitch, and work them hard.
Well, listen, managers can do it, and they can do it quicker. Look at Tuchel, what he did for Chelsea in half a season. Remarkable. Gerrard's only been there at Aston Villa, and people say, oh, well, he ain't got time to train him. Well, Gerrard's only been there a couple of weeks, and when you watch Villa now, there looks a big difference in Villa. And same at Norwich. Dean Smith, he left Villa, he's gone to Norwich. How different have they looked in 2 or 3 weeks? Totally different manager, different ideas, different style of play, more suited for Norwich in the Premier League. It might not be in the Championship, you know what I mean, where Farke was brilliant, but in the Premier League, looks like Dean Smith with Norwich is getting the best out of them at this moment in time, same as Gerrard. So if he comes in, I expect them, with the quality of players they've got, if they buy into it, to be a big improvement.
It's amazing how it turns around, because Tuchel worked with Rangnick really early in his coaching career, and now Tuchel has basically said to every manager coming into the Premier League, whether they know the Premier League or they've been in the Premier League before, it doesn't matter. You've got to come in and hit the ground running. In the space of months, you've got to do something very, very special, because he went and won the Champions League. Now, he's got good players, but then Rangnick's got good players at Manchester United. So I don't think there'll be any mid-table finish allowed at Manchester United, even if it's only 6 months that he's in charge.
Well, you get a quality manager in Conte who goes to Tottenham, but I think it's quite obvious Tottenham haven't got the same calibre of player that Manchester United have got. Any manager coming into Manchester United, and you look through the squad list, you think, I've got half a chance anyway, haven't I? You know where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
Totally different. He looks at Tottenham and he's thinking at this moment in time, when am I going to get 3 points?
Very quickly. I mean, I'm excited for Sancho. In the last couple of games has started to look the real deal. And he's at Dortmund. I mean, he just played high tempo. That was his natural game. So he will be all for this. I think you're going to see the real Sancho from now on. And he's a very, very good footballer. It may well indeed increase their chances, because he's worked with them before, of Haaland coming to Manchester United, which again in turn makes me wonder about the future for Cristiano Ronaldo, because I guarantee you, if Ralph Rangnick is posed the question, who would you rather have up front in your first 11, Ronaldo or Haaland, as much as people might not like it, he would say, I'll have Erling Haaland, please.
I know, but I find it difficult I ain't going to sit here and criticise Ronaldo. I think he's a fantastic footballer. He scores goals. He scored goals this season, and I'm a football fan. If I was picking the team, Ronaldo plays, but I'm not Ralph.
Klopp wouldn't pick him, would he?
I'm not Ralph.
Klopp wouldn't pick him.
Well, I don't know.
Doesn't fit that system. Doesn't do what those managers
If someone scores the goals like he does, I'd find it very difficult not to pick him.
You're an old romantic, aren't you?
No, I'm not. I just think a goal scorer is there in the side. You need one to score goals.
Yeah, but if you're
surely you've got
side,
10 other players who can do a job for you.
So he can just goal hang while the others do the work.
Messi's done it plenty of time. Are you telling me you won't play Messi?
Well, Messi's being questioned now.
Yeah, but are you telling me you won't play Messi? The way he plays football?
Now, I think there will be a question about that. At his peak and at Ronaldo's peak, you can't turn him down.
I'm not. Well, if he's that ruthless,